to Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.
How are you? How was your weekend? Not weekend, but how was your week? What did you do?
The week was good.
Mm-hmm.
I moved a step forward in everything.
That's amazing.
How about your week?
It was eventful. It was relaxing. Real estate and gardening.
Gardening.
And I know. My client gave me 3 trees. She gave me a lemon tree, a grapefruit tree, and a wild raspberry bush.
See, that's nice. See, I was thinking like,
Yeah.
even when the transaction is done with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
like for example, I was thinking about it today. I got the dog that holds a tray in the hallway when you walk up into the office, and went to a listing appointment, myself and K2, and it was about $1 million house.
Mm-hmm.
Built a good relationship, and we didn't get the listing.
Mm-hmm.
They went with another agent.
Yeah.
But they called us still, and they was like, "Hey, we wanted to, go with you guys. You guys, did so well. Just so happens that this other agent is friends with the family."
Got you.
But they called us for a second opinion when they first met with her, but they still ended up going with her. So nevertheless, they made a call back to us and said, this was an estate property. They said, "You guys, we were blown away by you guys. We want to also still support you. Anything you saw in the house, if it's in the drawers, cabinets, on the table, whatever you want, come pick one item and take it."
Wow.
Yes, this really happened.
That's very kind.
It was diamonds on the dresser. It was all kind of things.
Wow.
All over the property. And when I was doing the listing appointment, we sat in the kitchen, and this was a huge kitchen. And the dog was like in the kitchen, and he was in the corner, and he was just holding the tray. And I just kept looking at it. I said, the dog's he's in the listing appointment with us, and they was laughing and laughing. And when they gave us this opportunity, I picked the dog.
You picked that dog.
I don't know what K2 got, but I picked the dog. And they asked me, they said, "Well, why did you pick the dog?" And I said, because the dog symbolizes being a servant, because he was holding the tray. So yeah, I understand what you mean. Like, even when the experiences are over with people,
it's not. It shouldn't be over.
Right.
And I think real estate is definitely my calling, but I also feel as though I have a calling to just connecting with people. I don't care if you're not in the same age stage. I just want to meet you where you are, and I find something beneficial from every interaction, whether it's just a learning lesson or a lot of times I feel like I walk away just a little better. There's something about them that makes me understand them better, that makes me have more compassion,
right,
to other situations. But I'm connected to my clients.
Yeah, and you gotta be like that, because I guess what I learned from this is, like, just because it's a sale doesn't mean it's a win. Because sometimes you win when it's not a sale. Like in a case like that, like, yeah, we walked away with new friends. Yeah, I walked away with an item. Yeah, I walked away, leaving a lasting impression, and they also, left a lasting impression on me as well. But it's value in that versus monetary.
Exactly.
So yesterday I was eating lunch.
Okay, where'd you go?
To Eddie's House Kitchen.
Best food there.
So I got something for you.
For me, what is it?
You tell me. What is this?
Honestly, I don't know. You have it covered.
That's right. It's covered by design.
Oh, it's all black.
I covered it up by design.
I was like, I'm supposed to know what it is.
Now, what is this?
It's probably some type of condiment pack.
Yeah, you're on to it.
Mayonnaise, because it's white. Mayo. I don't know.
Well, perception.
Ketchup. Heinz. Hunt's.
Yep, you're close. Okay. So here's what happened, right? So as I was eating my chicken, because like some people don't like ketchup on their chicken.
Is it hot sauce?
I like hot sauce too.
Okay.
But I like ketchup too. I kind of like having both of them.
Okay.
So I was eating the chicken, and then I said, "Man, I want some, ketchup." So I was rummaging through like the cabinet drawer, and it was obviously like I don't know, most people got different kind of packets of soy sauce, duck sauce, ketchup,
Really?
all in their drawer. We do.
Yeah. Growing up, my husband did. I never did.
Oh.
What did they call it? It was like in the junk drawer or
Your
something.
junk drawer, yeah. And, of course I could have got the ketchup out the refrigerator, but I'm like, no, I'm trying to, go back out to my appointments. Right. I got properties, pictures to take. So I'm just rummaging. And I was just like overlooking. I couldn't find the ketchup packet. And so I just kept digging. And then finally I was like, I should just go to the refrigerator. But I didn't, because I'm like, why is it not no ketchup in the cabinet? Like, we go out to eat, we bring back all these packets, should be ketchup. So then finally I stopped and I'm like, all right, let me start reading these. So I started looking at all the packets. And then I realized that this black packet right here was actually ketchup.
Is that?
Yes.
I must be from a fancy restaurant.
Well, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
Because I learned a lot from this lesson.
All right, share it with me.
So, I'll show you at the end.
Okay.
Because this is like, it kind of caught me.
Yeah.
So, what I learned was like, once I saw the packet said ketchup on it, then I kind of got nervous because I'm like, this isn't right. I've been eating ketchup forever. Usually
don't come like that.
Yeah, usually the packet is white with red letters or red with white letters. And I said, all right, so this must be like some kind of special ketchup, or they changed their branding and packaging. And not only that, the size. Because this is the normal size of the ketchup package you get to go.
That's what I'm saying.
This is huge.
Yeah.
It has a tear here on it because the details matter.
Exactly.
Now, I started thinking even more into this.
Okay.
Because this particular company that manufactures ketchup is probably the only brand name ketchup that I know. And it's probably, without me factually speaking, but just from seeing things, probably the number one ketchup selling company in the world. And I said to myself, how could they? How could they change the packaging when it created the brand for everybody to know that their colors are typically red and white? The letter
change it on us.
How could they?
Right.
The letters are always the same. And because of that, I was overlooking it. I wasn't reading. I was only looking at the packaging.
You were looking for something familiar.
Yes. Just the packaging. So then I said to myself, and I thought even deeper, I said, first I said, how could they? And then I said, well, why can't they?
That's the better question.
That's the better question. And I said, why can't they? Because, and then the marketer came out at me. And I said, they put themselves at risk of losing consumers that are accustomed to seeing the brand. Like, I'm looking for the red and white. All these other customers may be going out, rummaging through the drawer.
Looking for the red and white.
Looking for the red and white. How could they?
But then here's the question that I will ask is, how could they not? Because they have already got you with their quality and you're already familiar. Automatically, when you said that they're both ketchup, right? I'm going to think that this one's a better quality. It just it's different. So the fact that you pay to do something different means like you may have paid a little more. There's more of attention to detail because it would have been easier just to keep with the same thing. So the fact that it's different, now that I know it's ketchup, I'm not bougie, but I probably would go to that one because it looks different. And I want to try different rather than always doing the same.
Well, see, that's why it goes to the perception. But again, it's branding. When we think about McDonald's in general, like when you're riding by, you looking for the arches. Now, I'm not a McDonald's eater, but I'm just giving an example because like branding matters. So I was thinking about like, all right, how many consumers could they lose? But then I said, they're not competing against anybody else.
Except for themselves.
There you go.
Exactly. If you think about McDonald's did change. Growing up, McDonald's had Ronald McDonald, the clown, the vibrant colors, and now you see the arches. However, the buildings are gray.
Right, you're right. I didn't think
they rebranded because they realized it's a new day and time, but because they have already gotten you with like they already got you in, so they already got loyal customers. Right. It don't matter. In some ways, it don't matter if they change it to like purple and teal. They already have you as a client, but when you're competing against yourself,
yes,
when you are your competition,
let's talk about it.
It don't matter.
That's why this whole concept, and again, the marketer came out in me when I saw this. Exactly. Because this whole concept got me, because I said, from a branding perspective, like, you changed not only the color of your product,
the shape,
the size, and then you got all these people that are accustomed to seeing this. But then on the other side of the coin, I started thinking of us as people, right? Because people are going to change. Like right now, J. Cole, I talk about rap. So
they're going through a battle, right?
Well, he's not. He was supposed to.
He came out and was like, he apologized. Like, that's not me.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because people come out and change. Like Kendrick Lamar, he wanted the problem. But J. Cole said, I'm not that guy anymore. Like, he changed. So when I thought about this concept for the ketchup, when it happened to me, I thought about a variety of things. And the first thing I thought about is, like you suggested, one, they're not competing against anybody. They're just competing against themselves. And then as a consumer, I said, how could they? They are at risk of losing people. But then being the product themselves, they're basically saying, I don't care. I'm changing regardless if you like it or not.
Exactly. Because I set the tone, first of all. So everybody else who's imitating me, you will still only get imitations because I set the tone. I'm going to start a whole new market. And that's what I'm saying. Literally, what's crazy is earlier this week, I had posted on my social media. I was like, all right, Nicole, you got to be active on social media, right? Because I'm busy. I just forget to document my busyness.
Right.
So it was this video that really hit me. I don't know if you saw it, but brief synopsis, it was two ladies sitting at the table both selling eggs. One lady had hers posted for $250. The other lady had hers posted for, let's say it was $200. And the one who had it at $250 is noticing like nobody's coming over, and she looks at her eggs, looks at the other woman's eggs. And in her mind is like, all right, I'm going to get them. So she cuts her price down to $100, puts a new thing in the front. The woman who sat next to her looked at her and gave her $100 bill, grabbed her eggs because she bought them from her.
Right.
Put it on top of hers to sell and marked the price up to like $350.
Yep. And so she the only one in town.
The only one in town, right?
Yeah.
And it was basically the message behind it was when you are competing against yourself, you can't get discouraged. You can't give up by looking at others.
Right.
And because she got intimidated looking at somebody else and thinking that, you know what, they're going to run me out of a lane that was mine.
Right.
You jump ship. Yep. Where we sometimes, we don't fail and we don't like lose because someone beat us. Right. We lose because we gave up because we didn't bet on ourselves. And if I gauge myself on how you are, I'm going to be better. There's going to be things that are my strengths that are your weaknesses. If I gauge myself on how I was last year, then that's where the true barometer of growth is, not competing against
somebody else.
Someone can outbeat me. I know I'm not the most prettiest. I know I'm not the most kindest soul. I know I'm not I'm not the best singer.
Right.
I mean, I know I can cook, but I know I'm not the best cook. But if I'm basing it on where I was,
right,
and how, if I have grown from my last time, that's where my competition is. And I think we talked about that months ago.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to get hard when you striving to achieve your goals and dreams.
Definitely. But then I say also it's important to surround yourself with people like the movie Wakanda and Angela Bassett. Her line was like, remind them of who you are, right? Show them who you are. Like, you need those people who, when you're not feeling it, because in this journey of life, we don't always show up and feel like we can do it.
Right.
I think that's we're not I don't think that we're built in that kind of way.
Yeah.
Because you can't appreciate your triumphs if you never go through trials and stuff like that.
Most definitely.
So there's times that you do feel defeated, like, I have no more to give.
Right.
But when you have those people who are in your background who are like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember who you are? Mm-hmm. Like, you need those people who remind you. I know it's kind of controversial, but like, even with my children, when it comes to like competing against yourself,
right?
I did raise them in the very beginning when they were very young, and still for Landon because he's young but he's cocky. But I raised them in a mindset of like when we're doing sports and stuff like that, there's no winner and there's no loser for me in the very beginning. And I know my husband, who's like he's so competitive.
We talked about this before.
Right? And this is what I would say as my disclosure and disclaimer for people. Mm-hmm. I say this with all the humbleness in my whole spirit. I don't care about other people's opinions.
Well, we talked about that too.
That, and I am not trying to convince my husband to think like me, and he's not doing his thing vice versa, because one thing is for sure, and two things for certain. He's not me and I'm not him. Right. And I think our children need both of us. So when it comes to sporting events, there's no winner and loser for me. And the reason why I say that is in the very beginning, I'm trying to build confident humans, right? And sometimes the climate of competition beats, like, you're only worried about how this person's better than me. Right. You're not focused on, like, in a sense, like the things that you excelled in and how you can kind of like coach to that part to be better. Yeah. You're only concerned on, well, they were faster. Right. Okay, they may have been faster, but maybe you were first running the wrong race. Maybe you needed to be in a marathon where they are in a sprint. And if you're so deep on comparing yourself to them that you're not even looking at, but you had endurance. And even when your legs started hurting, you kept going. Yeah. So in the very beginning, especially for Sophia and Haley, and as they're getting older now, bringing in the fact of like, okay, you may not always be the one to be first place. Right. But I do think it's important that they gauge themselves on them. Are you faster than you were last time?
That's deep.
Yeah. So,
because I mean, I like, you hit a lot of different chords, and I remember one of my coaches used to say, if it's not about winning or losing, then why do we keep score? So when I think about what you just said, it kind of took my mind to a different thought process. And the thought process I was thinking about is, imagine how much better that you can become as a player or a person if it didn't matter about winning or losing, because you're not keeping score when you're training or when you're competing. You just only looking to get better than you were the day before.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter where you place.
But I have a question. You're a sports guy, right?
Yes.
So when you were wrestling, you weren't keeping score. The spectators were.
And the referee.
Somebody, and I call them a spectator because they weren't participating in it. So the person who was in it, the world's going to keep score.
Right.
That's unfortunately the world that we live in, where we always try to pit this person against each other. Yeah. Like, even think about it, like in like the rap world and music, it's like this person's better than this person versus they're great in their own way. Right. Yeah. But it's the spectators, the ones who aren't participating, that always have to bring that factor in of better, worse, whatever. But when you're the one who's competing, you're just worried about doing your best, right, and doing whatever you got to do to execute that goal. If the person who's in this game of life, if the only thing that you were thinking about was, I have to execute this goal at all costs. Right. I mean, of course, maintaining character and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
But I have to execute this goal at all costs. I don't care what the spectators are keeping score with.
That's deep.
I'm gauging me on, did I execute my assignment? And that's how I think that's why.
I think we made a new term. The catch-up philosophy.
Listen, but that's why they felt free.
Right.
They weren't worried about the spectators.
Yeah,
what everybody else is doing.
Right.
They set the tone of saying, I'm worried about us. We need to rebrand. Yep. We need to be better. Okay, we're hitting a plateau. How can we now get better than everyone who's caught up to us? So they just moved, but they're factoring them. How can we be better?
Right. And the second thing, like, I was thinking about from when I say they, I don't know if this was a one-time special thing.
Yeah.
But still, like you just said, they didn't care about all the outside noise. They didn't even care. I'm going to use the word didn't even take into account, well, what about the customers that are used to just seeing this branding because it matters? Like, they didn't even care about that. What I thought about when they did it was three things. I said, one, they don't care about what everybody else thinks. They're going to make this change. Mm-hmm. Two, they realize, yeah, we're going to lose some people because we're changing. Mm-hmm. We're fine with that. Three, we're going to keep some people. Mm-hmm. We're fine with that too. But four, we're going to change regardless. And by us changing regardless, we're going to bring in a whole new group of people.
You literally just hit it. I was like muzzling myself as you were speaking because what I literally, it just hit me like ding, was when there's a change, we're thinking about marketing. Yeah. And I already lured you in. Yep. It's not even about the one who I have. Right. I'm trying to reach a whole new day and time, a whole new generation, a whole new client. I'm trying to, so what I have to do is I already have you. I have to do something that reaches somebody different. I have to like make myself pop to reach a whole new, and honestly, I think if all businesses did that and they reevaluated their strategies and they reevaluated their product, that's how you have growth. Yep. Because it will stay stagnant. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that because that can be maintaining. Like you need to maintain that baseline. But in order for you to grow, in order for there to be more, you got to do something to kind of like lure them in without factoring everybody else.
Right. Essentially, they ain't worried about everybody else's fate. And they got the ability, because they're large. But then even I kind of translated into people. I remember my grad school professor used to say, it costs more to obtain a new customer than keep an existing customer. Mm-hmm. So you always want to market to your current existing customers because off of that you can get more branches to obtaining new customers versus the cost you would have to pay to acquire customers you've never done business with before. Mm-hmm. But this really opened my mind from a people perspective because I put those philosophies from this catch-up concept into us as people. Okay. And I was thinking to myself, imagine changing and not even caring what people think. And then I thought about it. I said, by doing that, like for example, say one took a job as a cop. They made a change. They're going to lose some people because of that. Say God anointed and ordained somebody and they became a preacher. The things they did before that happened, they can no longer do. Yeah. So this concept about not just catch up, but about changing took me through those processes of, yes, when a change happens, I'm going to lose some folk. I'm going to keep some folk that been there with me the whole time. But I'm also going to acquire a whole new audience group of people that I can make an impact on. They can make an impact on me. And we can share value with each other.
Yeah, I was speaking to someone really wise this week. They give a lot of wisdom at times and they don't realize it. But we were discussing this challenge that me and my siblings did. My brother came up with it. But I'll fast forward to the wise thing that the person said to me. And it was you. Remember when we were conversing and you were saying how when God is the one who gives you that assignment. Yes. Right? Yes. It's not even, and then when I say I don't care, I'm not saying it in a thing of like, I don't care about the hearts of other humans. Right. I care about making sure that I'm not out here just being like, just evil out here. That's not what I'm saying. Yes. But when God gives me an assignment, I don't care on what seasoning you're trying to put in the recipe he gave me. Right. This is mine. It's yours. This is my assignment to execute out the way he gave it to me. Right. So in a sense, I'm not caring on whether you like it or if you don't, because you didn't give me my assignment. That's right. And you said it differently, but it was like, that's what we were conversing about. And ultimately it's like, even with the ketchup, let's use that idea. The core of them is the inside. The ketchup is the same. Right. It's the same. It's same quality. Yep. The packaging was different. They didn't care about everything else because they didn't get the assignment from the customers. Preaching.
We need the offering plate.
All right, let's pass it around. Because I'll take a coin. I'll take a coin. Give me a cash app.
You said, give me a cash app, Vimo, something. Right. But you said something. And I heard in my learnings today where the speaker said, live your life the way you want to leave your life. Mm. Then he asked the question behind it. He said, if you were to die today, would you have considered that you lived your life the way you wanted to leave your life? And then he added this statement. He did a whole seminar, and he asked like everybody in the seminar, like, if you can do one thing today and you were in the position to do it, but not only that, if you received a call from your doctor and your doctor told you that you were terminally ill and you were going to die within a week, what would be the first thing that you do? And he said this. 90% of the audience all responded, I would quit my job.
That's deep.
And he said, live your life the way you want to leave your life. Because if you're doing something that you hate so much that you have to quit it, if you have 5 days to live, you're not living your life the way that you want to leave it. You need to start today.
I don't even know what would be your answer to that question, if you don't mind.
I thought about it. I thought about a couple things.
Okay.
Like, one, I would just take all of my family, and when I say all of my family, like I'm talking about my kids, my immediate family. Yeah, just we would be, and I would go to a vacation to another country. And the reason why I say that is because no matter how much struggle that my dad had when we was growing up, he always made it a point to take us to, like, every year we would go to Jamaica, the Bahamas, San Juan. And I think about it because even this Sunday, as you know, we meet on Sundays. We were having flashbacks of being in Puerto Rico, and now my brother, he's deceased, he's no longer here, but that memory is there because we had that experience.
Exactly.
So, if I tie in this concept, we may have not been, when I say we, I mean my dad may have not been where he wanted to be at that moment, but he made it a point to, live his life the way he wanted to leave his life.
Exactly.
Should he leave tomorrow, I got that memory because I was regurgitating it back to him, and he was smiling. And now my brother's no longer here, but it's a memory.
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Yeah.
All other things, that would be one of the things. How about you?
You know what? Mine is centered around family because knowing me is knowing that I deeply love my family. So it would be centered around just not with any other factors of needing things to create fun, but just spending the most intimate time with all my loved ones. Like just, and then whatever that intimacy is, like the most intimate time where it's like no distractions, none of that, just intimate time with my loved ones.
It's a very, very deep question.
Yeah, it is. It's a very layered question. I remember you saying like, and it took me time to process it. It really did. But you were saying how you could say it better, but the quote of basically when you love someone, you have to be prepared to
you have to train yourself to let go of the people and things that you love the most.
Yeah, and that's like definitely a hard thing to process, but it's necessary in a sense of knowing that the assignments, I mean, for people who believe in like you have to be accountable to someone greater than you or myself. Like I have to be accountable to knowing that some, like God for me. So knowing that I'm willing to let go to execute whatever assignment he's given me, and then also submit to the will of the assignment he's given others.
Right.
And I think when you think of letting go, it's sometimes we want to hold on to everything because we think people are assigned to us. And they're not. Like
you said
the assignment wasn't ours.
And something that I was listening to, the speaker said, if you continue to hold on to something, you're going to get dragged. And I had to think about that, like over and over again in my mind, about how many things that people hold on to because they're afraid to let them go. And because of that, they're just consistently just getting drugged.
Right. Through the dirt. Dust in their mouth.
Yeah.
Bugs be flying in your face. But it's because of the fear of what happens when I let go. Like, the fear of the unknown that's deep. Like, or sometimes the fear of the known.
Right.
Of like, oh my God, this could happen or whatever. That is super deep. Okay, so
it's amazing.
It is. I'm gonna say something and go with me here. So I went to a showing, and I'll bring it back to what we're talking about. So I went to a showing with a client, and we went to go view a home. And on the disclosure, it did say something like, "Be careful walking on the steps." Right. Just be cautious, one person at a time. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
So we get to the property, and I'm like, this property actually looks pretty decent, right? It actually didn't look bad at all. And I'm not even capping for the story. I'm like, this house actually doesn't look bad. I don't know what they're talking about. So we're walking through the home, and then we get to the steps. And I'm like, oh, this must be the steps that they're talking about. But I mean, the house didn't look bad. So I'm like, well, let me walk down first, just for safety, you know?
Right.
So I walk down the steps first, and I'm like, it's a little squeaky, but I'm like, it's not bad, right? So we're looking and enjoying the house. So then my client walks down, and we're on the basement part looking at the house. And then we open up a closet, and the closet goes, like, I guess, underneath the steps. I open up the door. So, you know, like, if you're making a wood project and the clamps?
Yes.
That's literally only what's holding up the steps.
Wow, so it wasn't in the spacers or anything. It just had like the clamps holding the steps together.
That's it. Like, there was no support.
So it was like, if this is the step, it was just a clamp under it with no support.
Two clamps on both sides.
That's dangerous.
Literally, then I was like, oh my God.
You don't want to go back
I can't believe we just did that.
Yeah.
There's only one way up. Like, what?
You got to go back up that way.
The fudge nuts. And it was like the moment that we now knew, even though we had the warning.
Right.
And because it didn't look like anything was wrong.
Yeah.
And we had the red signs and the red flags, and it was like screaming, be careful, danger, danger. And I'm like, but it looks good. Then it was like, oh my God, I gotta walk all the way back up that. And when I did, the type of fear, I was like, oh my God, Eddie's gonna get a call that your client just died because she didn't adhere to the warnings. So
there's so many messages in that, what you just said.
Yeah. What was the one that you got?
The number one I got, and I was thinking of this philosophy where it was said, like, people like fear the unknown. But for those that don't fear the unknown, that are striving for success, they walk forward to go toward it, and they end up achieving what they want to achieve, and even more, because they don't know the limitations that are actually out there. They don't have any limitations.
Exactly. And then remember I said, and sometimes it's the fear of the known.
Right.
I was more scared knowing what I had to go back through than I was when I walked down, even though they gave me a warning. I just had an idea of it.
Real estate has so many messages in it every single day.
So then I had to say, because my client followed me, it's now my duty to make sure she's safe.
Right.
Now, she's older than me, and I think it's something about mom strength or whatever. So she's taller than me and everything. So I was like, all right, Nicole. So I skipped, like, I'm not that tall. My legs aren't that long, but I skipped 3 steps.
He said
we're going to do one good step. So I went from the bottom, and I stretched my leg all the way up and just pulled I didn't know I had a core. And I was like, but I'm not walking up all those steps. So I pulled myself back up. So then she was like, oh my God, now I got to get on. I was like, can you trust me?
So she saw the clamps.
Yes,
too.
We both did. So I was like,
now
trust
she's
me.
Scared.
I said, trust me. I said, I'm going to stand up at the top. I'm not going to let you fall. I said, take one step and I'm going to pull you. So literally she took a step, and I took my arm and pulled her up, and she was like, well, you're stronger than what I thought. And I was like, me too.
That's enough. There go another.
So it was like the fear of the known, and what I had to now go back over. It was scary.
Right.
But then I had to let go of that fear because there was no way out. There was no way of getting out.
Right.
And it's like, if we take that that mindset in life and realize we can't allow fear to paralyze us, right? We can't. If I would have been paralyzed by fear, I would still be in the basement because it would be like, how am I going to get out? Stop. But that story, like, that was deep for me. I was like, oh my God, that really like resonated with my soul because I now got her in this. We gonna get out.
It's so many messages in that. Like, one, you just talked about. One, you went to a situation where you didn't know what it was going to be. Mm-hmm. You found out there was a problem, but you couldn't see the problem. Mm-hmm. And you still went through the door. And then when you went through the door, you saw the problem. So instead of running, you said, no, I'm going to go back through the same path I just went up because I have no other choice. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you had to stick your hand over the fence and help someone else. Mm-hmm. And that person said, wow, you're stronger than I ever thought. But by you doing that, you also learned that, yes, I am stronger than I ever thought.
Yeah.
And you was able to help her get over the fence, so to speak.
Exactly.
I'm through with it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, life is deep, right? And I don't think life was ever meant for us to walk without obstacles or go through it without stresses and triggers. And I don't think it was ever meant to be perfect, but it was always meant to say it's worth it. Right. And for me, it's like, I don't want anything that comes easy. I really don't. I haven't earned it. Like, I feel like I want to earn everything I have because I have such a value to things that I earn. So when I can gauge the way I've changed from last year to this year, I earned that because I worked hard for that.
That's right.
And I appreciate it more because I earned it. And knowing that I'm conquering fears and I'm getting past certain obstacles that I honestly didn't know what was in me. And sometimes you don't know what's in you until you're squeezed. Right. So it's like, I earned that badge. Like, now next time, it's a full disclosure. I mean, even though they gave a synopsis of just be careful, I should have been like, oh, we're going to caution it. But because it looks pretty, and then we can even switch paces.
Now you
because it was packaged well and it looked good, we just said, freak the red flags. I'm going to go. We do that with people all the time. Yep. And we have to stop doing that. Sometimes we legit have to listen to these red flags that people are saying, hey, caution, right? And just because it's packaged well, just because they show up prim and propped and everything like that, now we're going to listen to what that red flag was, what that warning sign was, because we find out it's more dangerous when you don't. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Beyond the Grind.
Let's talk about it.